Last year, around this time, I had the distinct honor of traveling with Dr. Kelly Anderson to Israel to visit the various sites of the Holy Land. And so we went to all the places that are familiar in the Gospel. But towards the end of that trip, we went to St. Peter Gallicantu. It's a church that is built on the house of Caiaphas. And here, many of the things that we just heard now in this powerful story took place. It was at Caiaphas' house that there was the court where Peter denied Jesus 3 times. It's also underground Caiaphas' house where there's the pit that Jesus is held away overnight with his arms roped together as he's awaiting his crucifixion. And then from St. Peter Gallicantu, every step from cell to the way of the cross to Calvary, all the way to the tomb. And as the reality of the horror of everything that we just heard settled into our hearts, Dr. Anderson asked us a question that I ask you now. Why? Why does the death of this man on the cross bring salvation? Why is this tragedy so necessary? The answer hinges on our understanding of the word sacrifice. Sacrifice is not giving something over to God in order to satisfy a need in God. He has no needs. Sacrifice is not the destruction of something we love in order to show our love for God. Neither is sacrifice handing something over to God to placate his anger. God has no wrath. Many of the saints will say there is no harshness in God. So then what is the sacrifice on the cross doing? The word sacrifice comes from 2 Latin words, sacrifatio, to make holy. Everything that Jesus is doing on Calvary has sanctification as its end. But let's understand that as he does. In the biblical times, there were 3 Hebrew words for sin. The first was chata, which means to miss the mark. And the idea here is that we are not all that we are supposed to be. And I don't think it takes a long reflection to arrive at that conclusion in our own hearts. But the second word is pasha, which is a rebellion of the heart. And pasha leads to avon. Avon is the word for guilt or iniquity. And avon is like a toxic poison that just goes out and touches everything. It touches the world. Avon touches other people. It even touches the sanctuary. Now, one way to heal Avon in the natural world is this, and I'll arrive at it by means of example. Imagine a father who's a drunkard and he abuses his children. What tends to happen in that kind of environment? Well, very likely those children will grow up with a drinking problem themselves and possibly abuse their own kids. And then their kids after them and their kids after that, because such is the reach of Avon. But imagine among that first group of children, there's a son who decides in himself not to do this. What if he chooses to bear it, to carry it, to suffer it in love for his father and for any posterity after him, and so therefore doesn't respond badly? Well, the effect of the sin is gone. The avon is thwarted. But there's a deeper thing that happens when avon is best handled. And the best way to handle it is to bring iniquity into the very presence of God. So think of the Jewish celebration of Yom Kippur, when the priest in the temple would take the sins of the people and place them onto this animal. And then he would slaughter the animal, and he would take the blood of the animal, bearing the sins of the people, into the Holy of Holies, and he would touch the blood to the Ark of the Covenant, where God dwelled. And God's holiness would destroy the sins of the people immediately, and their sins would be gone. And so what happens then on the cross is both of those realities come together. The scriptures anticipate the day when God will bear our avon. The prophet Micah says, "Who is like God who carries our avon?" Isaiah says, "He bore our avon. By his stripes we were healed." And so we see on the cross not the wrath of the Father poured out on the Son as if he had to get it out of his system. Rather, it's the Son in a beautiful exercise of love choosing to bear the avon of his people and stopping the cycle. But more deeply, it's a purging from within. Like the blood of the animal on Yom Kippur, as priest, Jesus takes the sin of the people upon himself, the sacrificial lamb, and into his blood. Then Hebrews tells us he carries his blood into the sanctuary, that is himself. And by means of his blood, sin itself passes through his sacred heart and touches his divinity and is utterly burned away. And then he died, so that the hour of our death might be peaceful and serene. It's the greatest act of generosity we will ever know. So in all of this, what is he asking of us? Perhaps that you would notice it, see what he's done, but most of all that we would trust him. That whatever he asks, it's for our good. He's trying to make us holy. And everything we do as Christians is to this end.